Hello everyone, my name is Russell McNeely. Today, me and two of my teammates, Crystal and Amanda, will present to you the Markstrat presentation for T-Elite. During this presentation, we'll discuss what products T-Elite sold, which markets were targeted, how the products were promoted, how well T-Elite performed as a company in the sonite industry over a 6-year period, and what lessons were learned as a result of the Markstrat simulation. T-Elite was in the sonite industry. We produce 5 different brands of sonites, targeting 4 different segments of the market. The brands that T-Elite produced and sold were Tops, which targeted the professional section of the market, the Tones, which targeted the high earners, Two Less, who targeted the savers, Two Mas, which was produced to target the shoppers segment, and Tops 2, a rebrand of Tops that was produced to target the professionals. T-Elite placed 5th out of 6 teams. The reason for the 5th place finish is because we failed to maintain our overall position in the sonite market. As can be seen by looking at our stock price, period 1, it was $1,200 and dropped down to $897 by period 3. And in period 4, from period 3 to period 4, we dropped an additional 31%, down to $613. Period 5, the stock started to make a comeback. We had a 1% gain. Stock price went to $621. In period 6, we added another 10% to that, and the stock price was at $683, and that was the last period of the game. Tone, which was targeting the high earner segment of the market, it did well in the beginning. Its highest sales period was period 1. However, Tone continually lost sales, lost shares of the market in each period, and it was discontinued in period 4. Tops had 3% of the market share. It was rebranded in period 4, and it had its highest sales in period 6. Two Less had a 3% market share. Two Less was the first addition to our portfolio, and Two Less kept T-Elite alive during periods 3, 4, and 5. Two Mas, which was created to target the shopper segment, only managed to get a 1% market share. Sales decreased each period with Two Mas. As far as revenue goes, or as far as our financial performance goes, our revenue in the beginning, period 0, we had $47 million in revenue. Period 1, we increased the revenue by 14%, and our earnings before taxes increased 52%. Period 2, we had a decline in revenue, but our earnings before taxes increased 16%. In period 3, revenue declined an additional 32%, and our earnings before taxes also declined. They declined 42% from period 2 to period 3. Period 4 saw our revenue decline another 33%, and our earnings before taxes also declined. They declined 102% from period 3 to period 4. Period 5, we had a little bit of a turnaround. Revenue increased 22%. Our earnings before taxes increased 637%. We made $1.5 million more in period 5 than we did in period 4. Period 6, we had a 16% increase in revenue. Our earnings before tax increased 318%.
What we learned about segmentation and targeting. Lack of brand perception will have drastic effects to a company's product. We failed to take into account how a customer's perception changes until nearly the end of the simulation. This was our downfall for Tones. Had we maintained perception, we wouldn't have lost so much market share and had to discontinue the product. We learned that to succeed, our product must meet the wants and needs of the target market. We created products for the immediate wants and needs of consumers, but failed to look at how their wants and needs would evolve. Learning to analyze the financial reports was hard for us. It was information overload. Once we understood all the reports and what they could do, the simulation was almost over. What we learned about product. Promote perception. What the customer thinks of your product is just as important as what features it actually has. A customer's wants and needs must be met within each product. Rebranding was extremely challenging. I touched on this a little on the previous slide. A customer's wants changes as time goes on, and you have to take those into account. Being able to pinpoint those things was difficult for us. Advertising your product means investing in your product. You have to increase brand awareness to sell your products. If a customer doesn't know it exists, they won't buy it. Price was also a challenge, not to overprice or price too far under. Adjusting a price of a product must be done with caution. We maintained our pricing without change nearly the entire simulation. Tones, we didn't adjust at all, but ended up discontinuing. Toolless was targeted to the savers, which are very price sensitive. In order to stay competitive, we lowered our price near the end to maintain market share. Each brand had a different price to hit each target segment. Toolless was sold around $200 for the savers. Two Moss was sold around $300 for the shoppers. Tone was sold for $540 to the high earners. And Tops was sold around $400 for the professionals. Place was another important aspect of the simulation. Knowing where your customer shops and having your product available at those locations is key to success. If you sell only online, but your customer doesn't buy online, there's a disconnect. Most of our products were targeted to segments that mainly shopped at specialty stores. The only exception was the saver, who mainly shopped in mass merchandise.
T-Elite commercial teams and advertising were our most important tools for targeting and positioning ourselves in the sonite industry. We determined that our highest brand awareness was targeted to our savers and professional segment, each called Toolless for the savers, Tops for the professionals, earning us equivalent market shares at 3%. We determined that our shoppers were the smallest segment because their purchase intentions were less. T-Elite's success and failures pretty much boil down to the 4 brands that we carried through periods 1 through 6. So Toolless was really successful into the introductory periods, and it targeted our saver section. Tones was also successful early on through periods 1 and 2, targeting our higher earners, but phased out unfortunately by period 6. So we were least successful in our targeted shoppers segment and our professional segment with Tops. Our shopper segment was Two Moss. Unfortunately, we were unable to earn those professionals as long-term customers because we failed to sell to them consistently through each period, and we ended up having to sell off what we had in stock, and that was pretty costly in the end. It hurt T-Elite's success there. And again, we were unable to target our market appropriately with the shoppers. So when we look at our contributions before and after marketing, we do turn our attention to tops, which happen to be our poorest selling segment, as we were the most successful in earning market ratings. So what did T-Elite do right? What did T-Elite do wrong? Well, there's a lot of lessons learned here. Success were being strong early on. When you have large market share, maintain that as much as possible by targeting customers who are willing to pay those higher prices in the higher earner segments, and also properly target our saver segments as well early on. We learned that when you fluctuate in your price from period to period, that tends to, the team tended to take a hit there. If we could have done anything differently, we would have definitely forecasted ourselves a lot better. And we would have withdrawn our non-performers early on in the game. And we feel if we would have had a little more time, we could have understood our competition a little bit more. So overall, through periods 1 through 6, if we could have allocated resources better, we would have done that in advertising. And this would have probably improved our brand perception overall. T-Elite learned a lot from the simulation. We've learned a lot from our failures as well as our successes, and we appreciate your time. Go T-Elite.